and welcome.
Hello.
Today, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever suspected that you're just merely existing and not really fully alive to your life? That you're just going through in a daze and a haze, and you're like, I just feel like there's something more out there, but I don't know how to get there.
What is that called?
Well, today we are going to be talking about am I stuck? How do I realize when I'm stuck?
Yeah.
Because sometimes when we get stuck, gosh, we don't even know we're stuck. And that's a dangerous place to be. I wrote something down and I want to read it off of here because I want to really have you understand how the mediocre life is a dangerous life. I need to stay. I always get away from my microphone, don't I? The mediocre life is so dangerous. So this is what I'd say. The most dangerous place to be is to be in a situation where it's too bad to stay living this way, but it's too good to uproot your whole life, to change it.
Right.
And I think that's really where the enemy comes in and begins to speak to us and say to us, like, it's not that bad. But then I'm miserable over here and I get a little bit of miserable, but I don't ever get miserable enough.
Yeah.
Because I'm minimizing, I'm rationalizing, I'm talking myself into a mediocre life.
Which is no fun for anybody.
No. The scripture we're going to use today is John 10:10. The thief does not come except to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. That's in John 10:10. But I also wanted to read the Passion translation of this. It's a really moving translation. Let's see, John 10:10. Man, today's going to be good. Our conversation.
I think so too.
I really love to have this conversation because he did. He died for us to have life and to have it abundantly.
Right.
And we do. We get talked into that mediocre life and saying, it's not so bad.
Yeah, we
It's
settle.
not so bad.
We get used to it.
Yes. But the whole reason he and I, not the whole reason he came, but he wants us to have a full, abundant life.
Yeah.
He doesn't want you to be tied down. He doesn't want the enemy whispering in your ear. So let's see, John 10:10. A thief has only one thing in mind. He wants to steal, slaughter, and destroy. But I have come to give you everything in abundance, more than you expect. Life in its fullness until you overflow.
Wow.
Yeah. Overflow. That's what he has come to do for you. It's so often, I think, that the enemy wants you focused on your past or what you don't have. And I think that when we get stuck in big ways, we know we're stuck. But the most dangerous stuck is, like I said, for it to be, let's go back and let's read this. I had to write it down because I will tongue twist it each time. It's too bad to stay living this way. So you build up enough tension in your life that you're like, this doesn't feel okay to me. But then on the flip side, you begin to say, well, it's not so bad that I need to uproot my whole life for this. It's too good to uproot my whole life, but it's too bad for it to stay that way. So you end up living on the fence constantly. But the saddest thing is a lot of times when we get to that mediocre point, we don't even know we're there.
No. And if we're not aware, how can we do anything about it?
That's right.
Yeah.
And so there's so much that goes into it. And on this live, we're going to just talk about recognizing whether you're stuck in this mediocre, it's good enough, but it's bad. It's not bad enough to uproot my whole life, but it's causing me miserably. Miserable life. Miserably.
Yeah.
It's causing you misery. And so I really want to address that. And then we're going to, on our next live that we do, I want to talk about ways to get unstuck. We'll talk about like a how to get unstuck from that. But today, I just really want you to begin to ask yourself and invite you into this conversation that Christine and I are having about, okay, what does a mediocre life look like? And why do we get trapped in it? Where it's almost just like we go into this daze or this fog and we're minimizing and rationalizing all the things we don't like about our life and telling ourselves it's not so bad. It's not so bad. And I think us as Christians, we try to have gratitude, and that's faux gratitude. We
That's
try
right.
to have gratitude and talk ourselves into something that's less than we want.
Mm-hmm.
And not in a good way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because you've got to have that tension to push you sometimes.
You
So,
really do.
but we don't want to live in it. We don't want to feel it.
Mhm.
So we have to look away from it.
Change can be scary
Oof.
and difficult.
Yes.
Going from something that's always felt comfortable, even
Mhm.
though it's making you miserable, if there's a comfort level to it, if it's and people are like, I'm not comfortable with that. And what I mean is, if you're used to it,
Yeah.
if you're used to being, let's just say, in a relationship that's critical, that the person that you're in a relationship with is critical, you're used to being put down. So there's a comfort level. It's more comforting, crazy enough as it sounds, for you to be in a relationship and somebody to criticize you than for you to be in a relationship and for them to be very uplifting and encouraging to you. That'll feel weird. Why? It's just, you're just not used to it.
Yeah. I think it feels fake.
It does.
Like you're like, they don't mean it. Because they've never had anybody be that kind.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But gosh, let them criticize you and you're like, tell me more.
They love me. We're
I
best
know.
friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come closer. Let me
It's-
date you. Let me be around you all the time.
It really is. And we see, our clients here all the time. This is what I would say is one of the largest problems is they get stuck in mediocrity.
Yeah.
If they're stuck, if they've just got a divorce and they're stuck in their divorce, they can see that. But it's kind of like when that, we're talking about where that life, it's not so bad. It's not so good, but it's not so bad. You could burn your whole life forever, your whole life here on earth in that position, but we're not meant to. If you notice, and this is terrible, most Christians live an life. And that's not what your Father has for you. And that's not what he has set aside for you. So why do we get stuck
Yeah.
in these crazy places and don't even recognize it? We will talk ourselves out of a transformation. We will talk ourselves out of a breakthrough because it's fine. It's okay. My life's not so bad.
Yeah.
Why are we so scared to reach for that? What do they say? The brass ring.
Yeah.
Why are we so scared? Why are we so held back from that?
Yeah. I think you nailed it on the head when you said change is just terrifying. I have come to decide no one likes change. In some areas of your life, you might be very open to it, but I promise you we could find an area where you'd be like, no, we're
Yes.
not going to change that. And it would probably be an area that would propel you.
Yeah. One of the things that a tool that we like to tell people to use here is, I call it getting out of your comfort zone. If you every day stick one little pinky toe out of your comfort zone, you don't have to, do something large, do something crazy, do something. I think when we think about change and enlarging our comfort zone, we're like, okay, I need to go jump out of an airplane if I have a fear of heights. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
But if you will live intentionally in a state that every day you challenge yourself to do something a little bit uncomfortable, then you are living in a state of constantly increasing your comfort zone. And I mean, people do it all the time. Let's say you have a hard time saying no to people. So let's say the next person, or not even the next person, but how about you say no to the least intimidating situation that
Good
day?
idea.
You don't have to say no to somebody it's just like super hard to say no to. Just say no somewhere in that day. And that's really what I'm talking about, where you don't have to blow up your life. I think people think with change, you have to blow up your life. And it's not that you're blowing up your life. It's just that you don't get to control people's responses to the changes that you want to make. A lot of times why we get stuck is because we are completely reacting and selling a version of ourselves that we know people will accept.
That is very true. And that is comfortable.
It is. And the moment that we're like, okay, I don't want to be that mediocre life anymore. I don't want to be the person that just tells everybody what they want to hear. Then you begin to sacrifice because you don't get to control how people are going to treat you back. You were doing that so people wouldn't be mad at you. Now, when you begin to say no, what's going to happen?
You got to put that pinky toe out because we don't know. You don't know what's going to happen because
No.
especially if you've never done it before.
Yeah. But chances are there's going to be a lot of people that have stayed in your life because you also make them comfortable.
Yeah. I think when you first start doing it, boy, people start dropping like flies.
They do. But a beautiful thing begins to happen. You begin to see, wow, the people that are sticking around, these are people that want to be in relationship with me. They're not just trying to get something from me. They're not just trying to do something, get you to do something. They like you. They want to be. We all have these people around us, and I'm thinking of, and y'all don't know who this is, so I can say this. But there's a person that will call me every once in a while when they need something.
Oh,
I know,
that's
but they
a terrible
don't.
Feeling.
It really it gets you to the point where you begin to feel used. This person doesn't want anything to do with me until they need something, and when they need something, what do?
They call.
They call
And with no problem.
Yeah, and ask, and we're in ministry, so I'm not talking about like a ministry thing. I'm talking
Right.
like on a personal level.
Right.
But eventually, what happens is when that becomes the tone of your relationship, you just start saying, "No,
Yeah.
no,
Not interested.
not interested,
Right.
not interested at all." And I think we have to live. I hate to say. Actually, I don't hate to say.
Say it. We
A
wanna hear it.
constant state of pruning. If you're not
Yeah.
pruning your life, can you imagine like if you had a plant and you never pruned that plant, how wild that plant would look? Like
Right.
that's an ugly plant. And we're trying to live ugly lives sometimes because we're not trying to prune anything off of our life. But our lives are meant to be pruned by Him. We don't want to just go willy-nilly and be like, oh, let's prune this, let's prune that. But you aren't supposed to be a doormat. And when you are living a mediocre life, you really just turn down your life in so many different ways. And you get so acclimated to it that you're no longer challenging yourself. You're no longer who you are, your best version of yourself. But it's so subtle in some ways. It's not like, you've gone crazy and you're doing all these wild things. It's just that it's almost like you're slowly being boiled. We talk about, I don't know why they say this. I don't know whoever did this experiment or whoever came up with this example where if you put a frog in a boiling pot, it's going to jump out. But if you put a frog in a pot and you just barely turn up the heat, it'll get boiled because it won't jump out. And we are kind of that way with our lives. If there's not something like dramatic, then we don't get reactionary to it. And so we essentially boil ourselves with mediocrity. When what does God want us to do?
Live life and live it abundantly.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in this live stream, we're going to talk about just identifying. I just want you to identify if you're stuck. Maybe you're not stuck, but I guarantee you, like if you do an inventory of your life, there's probably an area in your life you are stuck. Maybe you're not stuck in all the areas. Sometimes we get stuck in every area. Sometimes we get stuck in just a particular area. So I want you to kind of think about the ways that you're like, okay, maybe I am stuck in this area as we go through these things. But the next live, what are we going to do?
Talk about how to get unstuck.
Yeah, that's when we'll put some action to it. There's no need to put any action to this until you really realize how stuck you are. And a lot of times you don't know that you're stuck. So let's talk about, I think I have 9 ways. Okay. What are some signs you may be stuck in compromising what you really want? Number one, your deal breakers begin to shift.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by a deal breaker, the things that you've told yourself that nope, that would never be okay with me. This would no, I wouldn't want that. I'm not talking about shifting your core value, shifting things that you've consciously and intentionally made a decision that as your life has unfolded, like I need to shift this. That's okay. We want to constantly be reassessing and as life unfolds, make conscious choices. But this is kind of when I'm talking about your deal breakers begin to shift, that's where you begin to just kind of minimize things and rationalize things. I'll give you an example. Say whenever we do like a singles class, everybody's going to wait for sex, wait for marriage to have sex. Everybody's never going to live with somebody. Everybody, like, when we have the singles write down what are their core values and what qualities they want in a mate. And we say, what are the deal breakers? They have to be honest. They have to be Christian. And I'm talking about basic ones. And then somebody comes into their life and they're lonely, and what happens? 9 out of 10 times.
The deal breakers are gone. 2.5 seconds. It's okay. I don't mind. Yeah. I think this is okay with me. I think I can accept that. Mm-hmm. I think that wasn't too bad. Well, I mean, he only got caught the one time, Yeah. It's like, okay, well, she said that it was because of this or because of that. And okay, well, then we just threw that out the window.
Yeah. And like I said, it's not an intentional, like as your life unfolds, you say, you know what, now I have more information. I know me a little bit better. Mm-hmm. I think, I need to shift this. Like sometimes people will say, I don't want kids. And then as time goes on, they're like, you know what, in that season of my life, I didn't want kids, but now I'm beginning to think that maybe I do.
Right.
And that's an intentional, as life unfolds, you begin to think different. What we're talking about is, for the stuck, is that you just want what you want more than, like, here's your theoretical list of, this is where, when your brain is in thinking mode. If it's in thinking mode, this is what I want. But then it gets in, all the neurotransmitters and hormones flooding it. Then you're like, I don't need that list.
It's like going to a car lot and then you're like, this is my budget. This is what I'm spending. Mm-hmm. And then you test drive that car and you're like, well, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And so when we talk about your deal breakers shifting, and the single example is just so easy because when you fall in love, your brain goes offline.
Yeah.
But there's other areas in our life too, like where you want to live. You start to get, I would say, anytime fear comes in, like sometimes if you don't address your fears or your wounds, maybe sometimes your wounds are impacting something. And if you don't address those, your deal breakers will begin to shift.
Yeah, it'll get you every time.
Yeah. And when they begins to shift, you begin to create an alternate life that you'll be okay with, instead of just really fighting and just going before the Lord and just saying, you know what, like, I have this deal breaker about this, but I don't see another way out. Or I don't, help me with this, Lord. I'm really struggling with this, whether it be from a fear, from a wound, from your mind going offline because you fell in love. Lord, help me in this area. Help me understand it. And we kind of really began to, with our deal breakers, we pull away. And like I said, we keep rationalizing, minimizing, and we make things okay. Like, let's say you always wanted to travel and you become a fearful, it can be a relationship, but let's use a different one. Let's say you become fearful of losing your life now. And so if that fear gets too large, is it going to prevent you from traveling? It'll prevent you from traveling. But then we don't like to own that. So we begin to say things like, well, I really didn't want to go there. Like, let's say an opportunity for you to go somewhere comes up. Well, I really didn't want to, or I really can't do that. You begin to tell yourself a story, which kind of like we talked about at the healing meeting. I think we talked about stories.
Yes.
You begin to tell yourself a story that talks yourself out of your deal breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's one. Number two, it's kind of closely related, but it's a little bit different. You lose clarity around what is really important in your life. Like, let's say you have top three things and they're important. All of a sudden, they slide down your list. And again, it's not because you've evaluated, you've assessed your life in such a way where it's like, you know what? Okay, as things have unfolded, I just think differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think you lose clarity and your priorities start to shift in ways that
Yes.
you start prioritizing things that you would never find important before, or that they were not your focus. That was not where you were heading. And now you're like, oop, I'm headed this way. Your priorities shifted so dramatically.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that is a good sign that you're stuck in the season you're in, or you're stuck at where you are, and you're not focused again. You're not focused where you were focused once before.
Yeah. Because remember, when we think about the kind of life that we want, we really do use our thinking brain. We use this is what I'm choosing. If I have feelings, and then I have a belief system, and I want to align my life with what my belief system is. But if I go off my feelings, what happens? The priorities shift and they change, and we make the excuses for why that happens. Because I say it all the time. This is a funny example, but you can want to slap somebody. You can feel like you want to slap somebody because you're so mad or you're so angry, but your thinking brain says, that's assault. Don't do it. So you can't, even though we work on feelings a lot here, you cannot live your life off of feelings.
Right. And I think you lose the ability to do that. Like you're talking about, you lose clarity of what's important.
Yes.
You lose the ability to maintain.
Yes.
If
you live your life off your feelings,
Right.
you will be one little jumbled up, messed up ball.
Right.
Because if you say, this is what I want my life to look off, let's say, even just this year, let's just say you said to yourself, I believe in being debt free. I want to pay off, this bill. And then you start feeling, because a lot of times when we make a commitment to something, we start to get fatigued.
Yes.
We're like, I'm rerouting my money to pay this bill off, and I'm feeling financially starved. Like, how you feel, like you can feel like you're going through withdrawals and not being able to purchase the things that you purchased before. But then over here, you have this belief, no, I believe that God spoke to me to pay off this bill, and he is opening up my finances and being able to do this. But you've got to wrestle there for a while. And if you just allow that your priorities to slip in that area, you really will begin to lose clarity, because you've got part of yourself trying to talk yourself out of what you already know that God spoke to you to do.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain and hold on to that. So I do think it is a good sign that you're stuck.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, oh, there's no way, so I'm just going to stop trying.
Yes. And so many people just give up. Or like, kind of what we're talking about, accept the lesser version of your life, because you know what? It's better than what I used to do. I've paid 50% off of it, and 50% off of it is better than like I said, you don't want to get in condemnation. But at the same time, if the Lord said, do something, and you're like, I accept that challenge, Lord, I hear you told me to do that, and I want to do that. And then the reality of putting the stamina and the persistence and the everything that has to come together, like you have to prioritize that.
Yep.
Like maybe you want those new pair of shoes, but the Lord has said,
I thought you wanted to pay off debt.
and not that you can't have
Is that in
both.
your allowance?
And so as you begin to lose clarity, and a lot of times you can see that show up in your life as confusion.
Oh, that's good. That's
Yeah.
true.
It's like things that you felt really sure about. Now, all of a sudden, I'm confused. Kind of like the example when I said, I heard the Lord speak to me to pay off this bill. And then all of a sudden, did he?
Is that
Did he say
important?
vacation was okay? Like we
Right.
just began to lose that clarity around things that we were previously. No, I know that the
Very
Lord spoke
determined
to me.
about.
I know that the Lord wants me to move in this direction.
Right.
So, number 3, your passion has dwindled.
Ah.
When we begin to live that mediocre life, kind of like where God's calling us up here, but we're like, we're coming up from that. And before we were on fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's kind of like,
Yeah. Like a flat tire losing its air.
you just don't get excited
Mm-hmm.
about the things that you used to get excited about. You almost become apathetic where it's just like like I said, this mediocrity is so
Blah.
deceptive
Yeah.
to where it's like, I'm not completely miserable. So
This is fine.
it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But, and saying to yourself, well, you can't be excited all the time. And really you can't. But I would say excitement and passion are very, very, very different.
Oh, that's true.
Excitement, it's kind of like happiness and joy,
Mm-hmm.
Happiness is fleeting moments, but joy is a state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would say passion is a state of mind, a state where you're like, yes, I know that the Lord put this in me. He put this passion, he put this purpose in me, and I'm going to lean into that. But when that starts to
Dwindle.
I like your example of that flat tire.
Yeah. It's just like, well, it does feel like it seeps out of you when you do get stuck and you're not
know.
aware.
Yeah.
And then you just start, just, bleh, I don't know, you don't have that same drive to go after what you were previously
No.
going to go after.
And the energy that comes with it.
Yeah.
Like not energy you have to manufacture, but just energy that just seeps out of you and oozes out of you from your passion,
Yeah.
overflows. It sounds like a wound or something that oozes out of you, something that
Well,
overflows
yeah.
out of you.
Passion does pour
It
out of
does.
you. And when it stops, it is, it is. It's not fun.
No.
Yikes. Sorry to leave you hanging like that. Now, if you want to learn, Am I Stuck? Come back next week for part 2. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m., we air new episodes of Life Talk. Again, it's hard when you feel like you might be stuck. Come back next week for part 2 of Am I Stuck? We'll see you soon.